Hey guys, it's Steve. Welcome to another mental health video. Today's video is what is borderline women's love language when they date? I'm going to get all into that, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about where love languages came from, what the love languages are, and I'm also going to tell you what I think the men that date borderline women, what the men's love language is. So I'm going to talk about what I think the BPD woman's love language is, and then their partner, the partner of the BPD women, what I think their love language is. So let's get started, guys. The first love language is going to be touch. The second one is acts of service. The next one is words of affirmation or words. Time. The next one is love language of time. And then finally, we have the love language of gifts. And I'm going to read to you guys directly from Wikipedia. Um, the five love languages: how to express heartfelt commitment to your mate. This is a book in 1992 written by Gary Chapman. It outlines five general ways that romantic partners express and experience love, which Chapman calls love languages. They are acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affirmation. All right, guys. So, anyway, guys, the actual love language that I think that most borderline women actually value. So what love language would most borderline women be? Um, my personal opinion is that from women I've dated a lot of borderline girls, at least two or three of them. I have a family member that would fit criteria for borderline. So there's a lot of like history. I've studied it for about 5 or 6 years, so I know a lot about the borderline mental health, mental illness. There's a lot of positives to it as well. So what do I think most BPD women's love language is? I think it is acts of service. Why do I think that? One of the girls I dated, she lived right next door. She had full blown undiagnosed BPD. I mean, she was about as behavioral as you can get. Love the girl to death. Don't get me wrong. I dated her for a while. But her love language was definitely acts of service. She was dating another guy at the same time. She wanted to date both of us, which is kind of a bizarre behavior from a borderline. But again, that's to eliminate intimacy. The girl I was dating, she couldn't handle intimacy, so she wanted to date me and date some other guy at the same time. Um, which I think at the time I was just kind of like going with the flow with. I don't know if it was the time of life I was having or what. I was just going with the flow, just letting her do what she wants. I know that's not always the way to do things, but that's how I handled it at the time. I just let her do what she wanted. But her love language was definitely acts of service. I think the other guy she was dating, she had like a lot of cats and stuff. She was always needing help with her cats, always needing help with her apartment cleaning and her bedroom cleaning. And the other guy that she was dating, I'll call him Bob, he just was really good with that. He had a lot of patience with her. He was really good with like helping her with the cats, things like that that I might not have been so good at, because I've never owned any cats or anything like that. Maybe he owned a bunch of cats and had experience with cats. Um, so he was just a little bit better with the cats than I was. Um, so they kind of clicked better in the dating game. So I kind of just let them do their thing, and I think they're together to this day. But they're a good match for each other because he does a good job with those acts of service. I think that's why she really likes the guy, because he does those acts of service. There was times where I would go over to her house and I would try to help her, but because of my limitations, sometimes I have anxiety myself. I have a little bit of, like if I get upset, I need to leave a situation so I don't get upset. That's part of my coping skills. I refuse to yell at a woman. I refuse to be physically violent with a woman. I would never hit a woman or harm a woman in any way. I think domestic violence is absolutely awful. I actually witnessed my father being domestically violent towards my mom, throwing her in the corner, throwing coffee in her face, hitting her in the face with belts, things that would get you arrested today. Back in the 90s and 80s, people were getting away with that shit, right? I experienced some child abuse myself at the hands of my father. So, guys, do you see all the stuff here? So me being maybe I didn't have as much patience as the other guy did. What I'm saying is the woman was very behavioral because of her BPD. Her anxiety was off the charts. Her behavior was off the charts, rude sometimes, and he may have just been able to put up with it more than I did. Like for example, I have a little bit of bipolar mood fluctuation going on. Could that have anything to do with my agitation level with her, getting agitated easier? So what I would do with the girl, like let's say she called me over this morning and had me go help her with these cats. I'd go over, I'd start helping her. Let's say I made one wrong mistake, she'd flip out about it, and then I'd just have to leave to protect myself, so I don't, raise my voice at her. I refuse to get into a tussle with a woman. I would just outright refuse. I will remove myself from the situation. So I could say that girl's love language was definitely acts of service. That's why she, pretty much decided to go with the other guy, because he had a greater patience for her. I just could not deal with some of her behaviors, like, trying to help her and having her yell at me or something while I'm doing it, because I didn't give the cat enough food or something. She wants to yell at me about it. Right. So my patience level was not as high as the other guy. Um, so that's what I do when I get pissed. I just leave, to keep myself safe. So anyway, guys, borderlines, why do they have acts of service as a love language? Most likely because a lot of these little things in their life bring great anxiety. Like, for example, I have a family member. I joke about her being borderline. She doesn't think she's borderline, but I joke about it. It's actually one of my family members. But her love language is acts of service. I mean, when she was dating men, she loved it when a guy would go shovel off her car or shovel off her driveway. That was one of my family members. So do you see how that's acts of service? She valued the men in her life helping her. Why is that? Most likely because a lot of that little shit was bringing her great anxiety. Like, she has a couple kids. She probably figured, how the fuck can I go clean the car off when I got two kids I'm supposed to keep safe? So do you see, having a man there that can help her a little bit is just means the world to her, right? The girl that I tried to date, that it just didn't work between us. We just couldn't click. Um, Her love language was those acts of service, and like I said, the other guy just had more patience for it than I did. I didn't want to stay and be in that turbulent, because that's what I recommend. If you're dating a borderline woman and she's going off on you, getting, up in your face or assaulting you, remove yourself from the situation. You just got to leave the apartment. You got to leave the house. You got to keep yourself safe. Refuse to harm your girlfriend. You have to keep in mind that the borderline mental illness has a lot of behaviors with it. And a lot of times they may be in psychosis. They may literally be in a psychosis caused by stress. And so a lot of their behaviors, they may not be in touch with that they're doing them. So you can't take the behavior personally. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's so hard to deal with at times. Um, so the love language model, I wrote some stuff. I says, we all have different ways that we like to give and receive love. Giving up your time to do something nice for your partner shows that you care, and I think that they feel cared for when you're doing stuff for them. It makes them feel cared for. It gives them this sense, wow, this person cares about me. They want to make my life better. Someone that wants to make my life better, I'd like to have them in my life. So do you see how they honor the person that's helping them? Because you mean so much to them, because you're literally relieving their anxiety with these acts of service. Giving up your time to do something nice for your partner, making your partner coffee in the morning before they even wake up. They wake up, there's coffee made. That's an act of service. That's something that meant a lot to them. Let's say they need to go to work this morning, their car needs to be shoveled off. Go shovel off their fucking car. That's an act of service. That's something you can do to show your girlfriend that you truly care about her. Planning a fun trip, Friday night, plan a date night, pay for it, spoil your girlfriend. Those are all acts of service that mean the world to her. Doing things for your partner, even little stuff to show you care. Get her towels for her shower, washcloths, soap, things that are little but mean a lot to the person, and because their love language is acts of service. Doing stuff before asked. What you got to keep in mind, you're literally taking stress off their daily pay, their daily plate. You're taking anxiety and stress off their daily plate, and that's why they value those acts of service so much. To them, it feels like special attention, feels like love. Only commit to what you can handle. And don't do any acts of service unless your heart's into it. Do an act of service because you want to, because you care about your girlfriend, because you want to show her that you care about her, because you want to show her that you love her, because you want to show her that you want to lower her anxiety, make her have a better morning, make her breathe easier. Do you see how, like with the borderline mental illness, anxiety with borderlines is a major factor. Almost all borderlines have a major anxiety problem. A lot of them do. I don't know the exact number, but every borderline I've ever come into contact with had a lot of anxiety. So those acts of service are literally relieving the anxiety, right, guys? So only commit to what you can handle, know your limitations. Borderline's anxiety and behavior can be hard to deal with, so you need to know your limitations. Um, even borderlines, they like to do acts of service to you. They like to for example, they might, put a rug in your bedroom or retile your floor or clean your bathroom. Those are things that your girlfriend might do, acts of service to show you that they care. So you want to do it with a happy heart because you want to be truly thoughtful. Do things without being prompted. Let's say they need to go to work this morning. Their car needs to be shoveled off. Just shovel the fucking thing off before they even ask you to. That's a true act of service, right? So, what do I think the guys dating these women? What's their love language? I would say, I think that men's love language is going to be, one second, guys. Just kind of trying to zoom out here. I got everything written down. I try to write down stuff. But I think the men dating these borderline women, I believe that their love languages, if I had to pick two of them, would be love language of time. Men that date women like this, we value the borderlines' time very much because when borderlines are doing well, when they're mentally healthy, when they're in those love cycles, when things are well, they can be very sweet. They can be very thoughtful, very, very fun to be with. It's just those hate cycles that they can switch. Something switches in their mind to a hate cycle of devaluement caused by mental illness. That's why you can't take the behavior personally. If they start devaluing you out of nowhere, that's a symptom of their mental illness. So you can't be mad at them. If you went to a mental hospital right now and there was a guy inside that was mentally ill causing some behavior or problem, could you be mad at that person, or would you say, it's the mental illness causing the behavior? Let's say he's hallucinating and he's beating the window because he thinks he sees the devil's face in the window, and he's beating the window because he sees he literally sees what looks like the devil trying to kill him or something. So you wouldn't be mad at that person if they had a mental illness, right? You wouldn't take their behavior personally, knowing they're hallucinating, knowing they're hearing voices. That's the same way you have to treat these women when you date them. You have to tread lightly. You have to be cautious about their anxiety. You have to cater to lowering that anxiety, not yelling at them, not being physically abusive, not being verbally abusive, things that's going to make their anxiety worse. Um, if you're going to be in a borderline's life, make their life easier. Give them space. If your borderline girlfriend flips out, remove yourself from the situation. If it's a car, pull over and get out for a minute until she asks you to come back. You want to remove yourself from those dynamic situations if you can safely, to prevent yourself from losing your temper, to prevent yourself from smacking your girlfriend when that's not what you want to do. You remove yourself from the situation, period. Let's say you're in the apartment, she grabs you by the throat, start getting your shoes on and get the fuck out of there. Don't touch her. Don't fight with her. Don't yell at her. Remove yourself from the apartment. Don't do anything assaultive to her in any fashion. If she is refusing to let you leave out of the apartment, she's blocking the door, if you have to, you may have to call the police to protect yourself. Because what if she calls the cops and you look like the bad guy, right? So let's say you're trying to leave the house because she just grabbed you by the throat, and you don't even want to press charges against her because you know that it's a symptom of her mental illness. You just want to remove yourself from the situation. Go out a window. If it's a first floor apartment, jump out a first floor apartment window. If you absolutely have to, you could call an officer and say, "Hi, Officer Bob. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm not gonna, press charges on my girlfriend or anything. She obviously has, a bad temper or whatnot. but I'm just trying to leave the apartment and she's blocking the door. Can you just come talk to her and get her away from the door? That way the police understand that you're not the fucking main instigator of the fight. Only really call the police if it's warranted and it as that last resort. Always try to de-escalate the situation if you can without police first, if possible, depending on the situation. But obviously, guys, so what would the men dating these women's love language be? So love language of time. We love it when these BPD women spend time with us because it just means a lot to us. We love to give them that one-on-one attention that borderline women really do want. They want to sit down and talk to their boyfriend one-on-one, look in their eyes and spill their beans about the past or spill their beans about things making them anxious or upset. So if I had to choose a second one for these men, I would probably say it's going to be touch. Us men, man, we love it when we get hugs. We love it when we can snuggle a woman in a bed. Um, it's just, I think that touch to us just feels special. It's kind of like a warm feeling for us, to have, to be able to cuddle a woman, to be able to hold a woman. For us, it's almost loving them back. They're cuddling up against us, which is what one of our love languages, but we're also cuddling up against them. Those kisses are touches, that would be touch. So I think for men, it would be the love language of time and the love language of touch. And for women, if I had to pick two, it would be the love language of service and probably honestly, guys, probably gifts. I mean, women love it when they get stuff. They love it when they get, you brought them home a box of chocolates. You brought them home flowers. You brought them home pizza. It cost you $10 pizza, but to them it meant the world because they haven't had nothing to eat all day. So you can mix the gifts with acts of service. They need supper. Get them a pizza. That's a gift, and it's acts of service, right? So you're nailing two at the same time. So that's the double whammy, right? So guys, hopefully you like this video on what I think borderline women's love language is, which we decided I think it's the love language of service. Borderline women love the love language of service. They love their boyfriends to help relieve their anxiety, help make their lives easier, better. They want to feel cared for, loved. It makes them feel wanted, desired, needed, cared for. If you guys like this video, you can subscribe. Please like this video, share it with a fellow friend. I made a Borderline Women's Are Beautiful shirt. It's for borderline women because there's so much positive about borderline women. It's not all negative. The best thing you men out there can do is just, keep being the person's friend. It's not their fault. They're mentally ill. Stop taking it personally. That's your first mistake. You cannot take this woman's behavior personally. She's mentally ill. You wouldn't be mad at a mentally ill person at the mental hospital, so you can't be mad at her. Look up BPD. It's a mental illness. They are suffering. But there's so many positives to BPD. When they're in that love cycle, they're so sweet, so loving, so caring, so nurturing, so thoughtful. So that's why I made the Borderline Are Beautiful shirt, because I'm highlighting the positives of borderline, not the negatives, because borderline women are beautiful. If you like this video, you can subscribe, like this video, share it with a fellow friend. Till next time, hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.